The CFTC is in the middle of a lot of very controversial issues right now, and we are really lucky on TabbFORUM today to have Commissioner Scott O'Malia, Commissioner of the CFTC. One of the first things, and one of the hot discussions today at the TabbFORUM event is really the movement of futurization of swaps. And I'd like to ask Scott, what's your thought on the futurization of swaps? How is this progressing? Is the Commission comfortable with the progression of this, or we have this the futurization discussion tomorrow down in Washington? What do we expect to come from this?
Well, it's a great question, and I appreciate you asking. And we will, at the Commission, have that discussion. The movement occurred the first day that we had defined both what a swap dealer was and what a swap was, and market participants had to begin counting and complying with the new rules. That first day on October 15th, the energy markets moved entirely to the futures market. So we have an interesting dynamic, and we're trying to understand, is this a permanent move? Will it impact other asset classes, CDX, interest rate products, credit products? And what are the attributes that lead to it? My own belief is that we've created a regulatory environment in the swaps market with a lot of uncertainty. We haven't completed all of our rules. We have not yet defined what a CEF is. You don't know what you're transacting on. And then you've created some regulatory uncertainty around swap dealer. How do you count? Who must comply? And then the regulatory burden itself.
On the future side, it's pretty much fully defined.
Yeah. Well, it's no surprise. This is, I think, a logical move in terms of regulatory play to move to a well-defined, well-understood market in the future space. The other question is cost. Mm-hmm. We have our margin rules that are more expensive in credit and interest rate products.
In the CEF world, in the swaps world.
In the swaps world, so correct. So you have some very financial decisions being made here that are probably very logical.
Yeah. One of the big things that's happening in the next couple of days is the Peregrine issue is coming to closure.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what we're doing post Peregrine to make sure that our futures market and our commodities markets are safer from issues like this?
Well, January 31st is a big day in our space. We do have, as you noted earlier, the Futurization Roundtable, which is an important discussion with the market. Russ Wassendorf, who is the CEO of Peregrine, who made off with $215 million of customer funds over a 20-year period, will be sentenced tomorrow, and that's a good thing. The bad news is those funds, we haven't recovered them all, and those customers are lost. The other element is the trustees are working out a solution for MF Global to return most of over 90% of the money.
That money, that news came out today or yesterday.
Right.
It looks like they're going to get a good substantial chunk of that money back.
So
that's great.
And that's a good news story. The element that I'm very focused on is how do we prevent this from happening again? We have two completely different incidences at an FCM where customers lost money. And I think we need a technology solution. You're part of the Technology Advisory Committee, and I appreciate your contribution to that.
Thanks.
And we called an emergency meeting in July, and we said, what is a technology solution to surveil customer funds to make sure that nobody can get away with it and nobody can move money without the customers knowing? The good news is the industry responded and has paid for a technology solution that will push out all of the data regarding customer funds, and we can match that against the FCM accounts and make sure that we have good balances. We're going to be able to get 1% tolerances to make sure that we understand where the money is and how it's moving. That will give us an immediate understanding of if there's any money...
Any funny business going on?
Any funny business going on, and we can catch it. We can move on it. We don't need 3 days in MF Global. We don't need 20 years head start that Peregrine had.
Well, it'd be great to see a lot of these issues resolved. One of the things we talked just briefly about is the Technology Committee.
Yep.
The CFT is very advanced in terms of developing a high-frequency trading subcommittee. What's the status of that? Where are we with the HFT committee, and what do we think will come of it?
Well, the subcommittee did us a huge favor and delivers I think, a very robust, credible solution on what is HFT.
Actually, I think that was my group.
You were on that subcommittee, so I greatly appreciate that hard work, and I know that involved a lot of meetings because it's a difficult subject.
Yeah.
The next step is to really understand how this is. Once we have the definition, we can go into the market and study it and understand the behavior and figure out what needs to be done related to their trading behavior. I think and would like to see kind of a survey of the market, a gap analysis, if you will, and we've prepared the first round of that to survey the market about what are the appropriate controls, the pre-trade functionality, to make sure that HFTs being traded in the market, or any automated trading system, not solely HFT, but every single one, has a baseline of good controls and best practices to make sure that their market, their trades going into the market are good, well tested, and robust. At the same time, the market has in place, the exchange level, I mean, has in place good controls already. We need to make sure that we have a good gap analysis to see if there's anything missing.
And so if there's a if there's a problem, we can kill it immediately. Yeah, we really need greater confidence, I guess, macro-wide, so that, if something occurs like what happened with Knight, that it's caught.
It's not like anything to do with driving a car, right? You want to make sure you have seat belts and airbags and good proper controls. We can't guarantee you will not get in a traffic accident, but we can give you good roads to drive on, and we can give you the safest cars you can protect yourself with. That's the way I view the way we ought to trade and how you trade with algorithms in the futures market.
Interesting. So before we break, what do you see coming down the road? What are the things that the Commission is kind of thinking about that's out there that we think that is important to look at?
Next step should be CEF, right? It's time to we've defined what a trade repository is. We know what a clearinghouse is. Now the important element is how will these transact? How will swaps transact on screen? And my goal is to make sure that we have a very robust yet flexible trading venue to make sure that we are allowed
trying to fit everything into one narrow little definition.
What we've learned is one size does not fit all in this market, and so I think we need to be flexible and provide no excuse for anybody not to transact on a screen. We don't want to get rid of the bilateral deals. That's an element that's certainly essential to this market.
The industry.
But you can transform it and bring it to a screen and get better pricing and get better market data out there. So I think they're very important. And we just have to have a good, flexible platform that will allow everybody to find their market and at the price they want.
That sounds great. With that, I want to thank you, Commissioner O'Malia, for joining us here on TabbFORUM on the video, as well as doing the keynote at the TabbFORUM event. Thanks.
Thank you.